I don't know how I feel about it. You're my favorite bald-headed bitch.
Oh, God, I always forget that I have to start these. Hi, and welcome to Show and Tell.
A subsidiary of Author's Note Podcast.
It has been so long. I am so sorry, everybody. Cas.
I realized, looking at our Patreon, that we're actually short one episode of Show and Tell, so we'll have to put out another one.
Maybe we'll do a book club.
Ends.
Maybe we'll do a book club or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll see how we're feeling.
Let us know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully this episode of Show and Tell will come out within the week. It should. There shouldn't be a problem with that. But yeah, welcome to Show and Tell. Thank you for being a patron. Your support means... Your support means so much to us. I'm laughing, but it's only because Teese is wearing a birthday hat for our 1-year podcast anniversary.
Yeah.
And it really completes the facade. You look like a friendly little gnome from a Cartoon Network show. It really meshes. I want to paint a visual picture. You are wearing what appears to me to be a purple long sleeve t-shirt.
It's blue because it's my college. It's like a college, one of those oversized half and half t-shirts, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your mascot was the Chargers?
They sure were. And then our Quidditch team was the Nightmares, but spelled Nightmares, like a horse.
I can never get over the fact that...
Yes, I know.
You played Quidditch.
I know.
I'll never get over it.
Listen, Teese from 9 years ago is very different than Teese right now.
Teese right now is no longer cringe and is caged because of it.
Well, Cas, who's going first this time? You or me? What are we feeling?
I'm prepped. I'm ready to go.
Prepped?
I am ready to hold you against your will to talk about this.
Do you want me to go first then, so you sound more impressive?
You know what? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So, like a month ago, you liked on Twitter a Ping Pong the Animation fan art piece. And originally I was like, okay, when we do a show and tell, I'm going to do like kind of a cycle where I do an anime, a movie, like a soundtrack, a book, a video game. Like I wanted to vary them. However, I want to talk to you today about Ping Pong the Animation. And it is just so good. However, there's one thing about it that really vexes me, that it's really popular with the Super Smash Brothers competitive community. So
interesting.
I think I actually really want to do an episode on that one day. But Ping Pong is a sports anime, obviously. It's about people playing ping pong. And that sounds really corny in theory to you, because it's like, why would there be an anime about playing ping pong? But in reality, I think it's one of the most beautifully done sports anime. It's more than just a sports anime, because it is a story about pressure and injury and determination, and it's a very big coming of age series, and the way that it's animated is just so beautiful because of how different it is than most anime that we see and think of. It's a Taiyo Matsumoto manga, which he's best known for Ping Pong, obviously, as well as Tek on Kinkri, Sunny, and Go-Go Monster. And Go-Go Monster is actually my favorite manga by him. I do own Ping Pong. I have yet to read it, though, so that may change very soon. But the anime itself is directed by Mr. Masaki Yuasa, and he's the guy who did Devilman Crybaby, which I know you've talked about how much you've enjoyed Crybaby. And it still keeps in the spirit of Matsumoto's artwork. And I love it. I love the music. There's this one song in the soundtrack that has people just ominously chanting ping pong. There's a lot of fun animation in it that is like, you know how we always like talk about like what's stereotypical anime, like to most people, like the idea of the dragon like representing the smoke and like the lightning bolts and stuff like that. And Ping Pong actually really embraces it. It does a lot of split screen work and stuff. And It's a love letter to anime. It's a love letter to people who play sports. It's a love letter to people's youth slowly growing and changing. And I think for people who say that they're anime fans but have yet to see it, you're really missing out on something that really shows what anime is in fact capable of. Like we always talk about something like Your Name being this beautiful thing, but in reality, what's fantastic about animation is that it doesn't have to look realistic or cute all the time. It could be messy, it could be distracting, it could be ugly. And I think part of the reason why the Smash community loves it so much is because it is about never giving up. It is about movement and growth. It is about learning new tactics and branching off. And from a weird standpoint, I also think because Smash is something that so many people were introduced to as kids, and the main characters in Ping Pong have all played together since they were kids, I think there's also a little bit of this constant in my life has grown with me as I've become a better person and a stronger player and stuff like that. So I could see why. But I just think if you watch anime, you should watch Ping Pong. And I think even if you don't watch anime, you should watch Ping Pong. So
yeah, it's really not the traditional appearance of most anime.
No,
and
it's
when you
not.
talk about animation, the point of anything being animated, besides King of the Hill, we'll come back to King of the Hill another day, but the point of anything being animated is that you are no longer confined to the limits of reality.
Yes.
And you're talking about like Your Name and, things from that studio always strive for this level of brilliance in their hyper-realism, of like just taking that little step towards surrealism of like hyper pop colors, really wet roadways, just pushing everything the littlest bit more. But from what I've seen of Ping Pong and from like everything else Yuasa has done is this real push of fluidity and visceral motion to really like hyper extend limbs to give this real propelled sense of motion so that the audience feels it as they look at it. I would like to also show you what I was doing a moment ago. I really needed to draw what you looked like from my perspective.
Where is it? I need to see.
Just there with your little hat.
Can you please post that on the podcast again?
Yeah.
I need to read it. Oh my god. This is delightful. Thank you so much. I didn't really...
What? Can you tell me a little bit about the plot of Ping Pong? Like, I know you're talking about how it's about sports, but who do we follow?
So it is about these two boys named Smile and Pecco. They have been friends and inseparable for their whole entire lives. Smile is really stoic, is often referred to as a robot, is kind of made fun of because of how little he emotes, and he is the more tactical player, but he's not the best player. He's a strong tactical player, but does he have the drive and motivation to become the better physical player? Meanwhile, Pecco is a born natural, and he is just everything that he does, but he doesn't take anything seriously. So the two of them joined their high school ping pong team, and the coach sees an ability in Pecco and Smile that he really wants to hone and make into like not even a prodigy, just somebody that can win and will win. And so it's about the divide between Smile and Pecco growing on their playing of the sport, as well as a rival school and the members of the rival school and how they deal with ping pong. And that school in particular has the sponsorship of a professional ping pong company because one of the students is the nephew or the adopted nephew of a company that sells and produces mats and sneakers for table tennis. And then there's a lot of like interpersonal relationships and drama. And then there is a third school with one character who's an exchange student from China who's essentially been excommunicated from the Chinese Junior National League because he lost or something happened. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched Ping Pong. But it's about him also kind of trying to regain his strength and glory in Japan. They're like, well, if you become the number one in Japan, you can come back to China. So it's about these very different groups of people, their relationships, and just the movement and growth of their play style as people as well too, which is really beautiful. And I mean, this is one of those series that's like, even though people are still in high school, it's kind of like, I'd say it takes about a year, like a year's worth of time period. It has people like literally drop out of school, has people cheat on their partners. It has people kind of basically like lose themselves and kind of stand back up again and stuff like that. And I mean, if now that I'm thinking about it, probably there's like, I guess it's kind of a half-assed suicide attempt, unfortunately, in it, but you do know that there's no weight behind it. It's just kind of like a desperation thing, which is interesting. So there's a lot of that. There's some drinking, there's some smoking in it. And there's also an episode that I really like where the character from China, his mom comes to visit from China, and his team celebrates Christmas with him and his mother, and they all make dumplings together, and then they sing karaoke, and there's this really nice karaoke scene, and that's unfortunately not in the manga, but it is in the anime. So and that episode's like one of my favorites. So I just really like Ping Pong. I think it's really good. I think it's definitely should be on everybody's like A, top 10 best anime, and B, 10 anime that you should see if you do consider yourself a serious anime watcher. So and you get cool guy cred. 13. It's a 13 episoder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's on YouTube.
Yuasa doesn't seem to ever go to YouTube.
I think it is. Let me double check. I think it's on YouTube.
I keep misinterpreting the hat for brief moments as like a messy bun on top of your head, and it's giving me this illusion of Teese with like long flowing hair.
Never heard of them. Yeah, it used to be on YouTube, but now it's not anymore. But it's Googleable. It's online. I know Funimation has it for a fact. I've also written a piece for Funimation about it, but they absolutely destroyed it. So don't read it. But yeah. What about you, Cass? What did you bring to show and tell?
Well, Teese, I hope you're prepared to sit down and listen to me talk about something I know that you're never, ever, ever going to be interested in.
Joke's on you. I have watched the first 2 episodes, and you were right.
Okay, well, I don't care about seasons 1 and 2. Seasons 1 and 2 are... No.
Okay.
We're going to... Okay. So, in an effort to be more open and honest with myself and just love myself for the things that I enjoy, I am unabashedly bringing Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug, and Cat Noir to show and tell this week.
Okay.
So, when I went... No, it started even before that. So, I previously lived with a roommate whose name is Monica, and Monica would pretty frequently watch Miraculous as like a comfort TV show. And when we went to our college's Halloween party the first year, Monica and their partner showed up dressed as Ladybug and Cat Noir in costumes that Monica had made, and it was adorable and beautiful and perfect. But I didn't really get into the show until the last month when I went up to visit Nika, and Nika was watching it and like powering through episodes. Anytime we were eating, anytime we were making dinner, Nika had it on and kept talking about these episodes that were coming up that they really wanted to see because the show just takes a huge turn in tone. And yeah. So before I even get into that, let me tell you all about what Miraculous Ladybug is. And I'm going to refer to it as like either Miraculous Ladybug or Miraculous because that's what everybody calls it. I don't know that I've ever met somebody who's like, have you seen Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir? No.
I've usually just called it Ladybug.
Yeah, Ladybug is pretty popular, I think.
Yeah.
It is a French children's television show, and it is a magical girl-inspired superhero villain of the week show from Zagtoon, Method Animation, and Toei Animation. And Miraculous follows the lives of 2 French teenagers named Marinette Dupen-Chang and Adrienne Agreste, and the 2 are chosen to become the holders of the Ladybug and Black Cat Miraculous, which are items that give them each, respectively, the power of creation and the power of destruction. This series was written by Thomas Astruc, and Astruc actually originally intended for the story of Ladybug to be a comic until he met Jeremy Zag. And in 2012, Toei and Zag released the Ladybug PV, which I remember blowing up on Tumblr at the time.
Me too, yeah.
It was 2D animation. People were really excited about these characters. They loved the fact that there's like a boy in a cat suit and a girl running around who's like the hero of the show. People love magical girl stuff. Magical girl stuff just ignites some sort of... I feel like Magical Girl allows us to see the intersection of power and femininity in the way that it never was sold to American girls in a weird sort of way. You know what I mean? Where it says, like, you can be powerful and you can make a difference and you can be ultra feminine in the way we often say that people who are ultra feminine aren't as intelligent or, you know, they're bimbos or what have you. Magical Girl stuff says, fuck that. No, there's power in the ultra feminine.
Yeah, Sailor Moon really did that for me big time as a kid.
And Ladybug and Cat Noir is heavily inspired by Sailor Moon in particular. The PV was in a more traditional anime style, and it was done in 2D animation, and it was intended to drum up interest for developers of the show because they were still kind of shopping it around at this point. It looks incredibly different from the 3D animated series that we have today. And I know a lot of people like to poo-poo on the made-for-TV 3D animation style, and I get it. A lot of times it doesn't look polished, doesn't look complete, the lighting's weird, characters have funky expressions. But I think when it comes to this series in particular, people don't understand the absolute nightmare that it would have been to track Ladybug's spots on her in 2D animation. And like, Thomas Astruck worked on designs for her that limited her number of spots, but like he was like, there needs to be at least 5. There has to be 5. And it's like, it just would not have been possible in 2D animation with the kind of budgets that 2D animation got in that day.
Yeah.
It's one thing for a slice of life anime to have like really detailed patterns, but Ladybug has a lot of combat and she's literally jumping around landscapes and like essentially web slinging everywhere with a yo-yo. Her movements are very Spider-Man inspired. So the show still leans on anime tropes really heavily, and Marinette's name actually translates to Little Sailor Girl, which is an explicit reference to Sailor Moon. And there's a lot of other references and riffs off of Sailor Moon within the series, but I'm not super familiar with Sailor Moon. So I can't speak to the degree in which they're present. I just know they're there.
Time for us to do a crossover where you watch Sailor Moon and I watch Ladybug. And then we could do a...
Well, the show has... Ladybug has magical companions named Plag and Tiki, and they're very much inspired by, like, Luna and Artemis. There's a school cast that's not dissimilar in makeup to, like, every anime aimed at teenagers. And you also, at the end of every episode, get, like, a splash screen of, like, prominent characters from the episode, which is really cool.
Wow, yay.
There's a lot of other touches and features. Like, there was an Akira reference in one of the episodes we watched last night with, like, a moped sliding in. But you'll have to watch it to find all of them. Cat Noir and Ladybug, who are Adrian Agreste and Marinette, respectively, are inspired in part by Spider-Man and Catwoman. Not Black Cat, but Catwoman. But they're gender swapped and role reversed so that, you know, Ladybug has, like, she's the main character. The show ended up premiering in like 2015, and it's currently on its 4th season, and things get really intense in like the last 6 episodes, I want to say, of season 3, and like that's kind of where the show hooked me at a level where I wanted to be involved in the fandom, which I know sounds wild. Like, why would you watch 3 seasons into a show to get interested in it? But it's like, it's a really good show to put on in the background because it's so simple and like it's a kid's show. So you don't have to pay a ton of attention to. It's goofy. A lot of the character designs are really fun.
Nice.
And there are like cool moments. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the series itself. So our main characters are Marinette Dupen Cheng and Adrian Agreste, which I said before, but Marinette is a schoolgirl who adores fashion. She's always making designs, and she works alongside her parents in their bakery. And then Adrian is the son of Gabriel Agreste, who is a world-renowned fashion designer and absent father extraordinaire.
Dun, dun, dun.
Duh! Adrian is a celebrity of some level of renown because, I mean, he's featured everywhere in ad campaigns as a model for his father's brand. So his face is like plastered all over Paris. We start the series when Adrian has only just recently started attending school with other kids, and he had to fight tooth and nail to convince his father to let him basically even leave the house. His schedule is controlled 24/7 and monitored by his father, and his father rarely leaves the house as well. Most of the times when we see Gabriel like out and about, it's literally somebody holding an iPad with Gabriel's face like FaceTiming in to watch. There's a really sad moment where like Adrian is at the movies with all his friends in like a film he worked on, and he's just holding an iPad of his dad watching the movie.
Stop. That's terrible.
Marinette holds the Ladybug Miraculous, which grants her good luck and the power of creation, and she's also the only one who's able to capture and return Akumas to their natural moth-like state. One of the ways in which this show like really heavily leans on its anime inspiration is like Akuma means devil, and so like these are sort of the evil MacGuffins of the series, where our big bad villain Hawkmoth sends out an Akuma each episode and akumatizes somebody to basically harness their negative emotions and turn them into a supervillain of some kind.
Sounds about right.
Ladybug's the only one who can capture those and neutralize them, so her maintaining her power is really important, because if she gets akumatized, ooh, that's a big problem. Adrian holds the Black Cat Miraculous, which grants him the power of destruction. And destruction to a really worrying degree, and like these Miraculous have to be held and harnessed by somebody, because there is an incident in which Plag, who is the, I'm going to say representative, so I don't go too deep into the show vocab, who's the representative of destruction in this world, literally sunk Atlantis when he tried to use his powers without having a holder or a keeper. Oh. Black Cat and Ladybug, or Cat Noir and Ladybug, are not aware of each other's identities.
Of course
which
not.
is really frustrating and cute. But this show doesn't have a love triangle. It has a love square where Marinette and Adrian are dear friends. But Marinette is in love with Adrian, who is in love with Ladybug, who is in love with Adrian, who is Black Cat, who's in love with Ladybug. And then my favorite part of the show is that there are two other outside love interests for each of them. So there's a girl named Kagami and there's a boy named Luca. And I feel like normally when you have a show, even for kids, but especially when you have a show that's sort of aimed at this like middle age group, love rivals are always presented in this fashion where like they're bad people, they're mean, they're nasty, they're not kind to like their quote unquote competition. It's always very much about like getting the audience to dislike those characters. But Luca and Kagami are such wonderful, interesting characters who are very supportive of Marinette and Adrian respectively. Like Luca on multiple occasions is like, Marinette, I'm in love with you, but I understand that you're in love with Adrian. You know, take your time, figure that out. I will always be here to support you.
Wow.
You know, you just have to listen to yourself. And Kagami is like, Marinette, you're in love with Adrian. You two are perfect for each other. I'm not meant for Adrian. I love him, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry if you're being spoiled for the series by this, but I'm just letting you know.
This series
good stuff.
Is like 4 seasons in, guys. It's been out since 2012. You should have known by now.
So in each episode, like I was saying, the villain Hawkmoth sends out Nakuma, which is a moth. He's affected to curse someone with horrific, usually kind of goofy power. And in exchange, he wants them to steal Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous. So those are the magical items. For Ladybug, it's her earrings. For Cat Noir, it's a ring that he has. Hawkmoth is actually Adrian's father,
Of course
Gabriel,
he is.
and he is aided by their personal secretary, Natalie.
Stop!
Hawkmoth. Oh, it gets worse. It gets so much. This show, the level of like childhood neglect and trauma that this show just sort of like casually explores is mind-boggling. And you end up with tonal whiplash from some of these episodes because it gets there's a whole fan theory about Adrian's existence that I will not get into. Watch the show and then explore that.
Okay.
But Hawkmoth wants the Ladybug and Black Cat Miraculous because when you fuse them together, you get any wish that you desire.
Wow.
The catch is that the karmic opposite will occur then. So if you want, I don't know, to bring somebody back to life, somebody else will die in exchange for that.
Ooh.
Gabriel Agreste, unbeknownst to his son, has in his basement his wife, the mother of his child, in a preservation tube surrounded by greenery where he breeds the moths that he uses to akumatize people. And I shit you not, the setting where Emily, the mother, is kept looks exactly like the setting in Wolf's Rain where Darsha keeps his beloved in this like preservation tube in his hunt for wolves to find the way to paradise.
I don't know what that means.
You cannot tell me that they are not directly inspired by each other. But Adrian's like, wow, I really miss my mom. It would be great to have her back. And Gabriel's like, yeah, if I could just catch, Ladybug and Cat Noir. The other really fun magic of Ladybug's Miraculous is that when she de-evilizes an Akuma, she erases all the damage that villain caused, and the akumatized person loses all memory of what happened when they were akumatized. But everybody else remembers. So you have a lot of incidences of, like, people who are getting, like, really angry about something, and, like, other kids will start making fun of them, being like, ooh, you're gonna turn into a monster again, and it's like, this person has no recollection of that happening, of, like, hurting the people they love, of destroying the city they live in, and, the multitudes. The multitudes. Big spoiler. If you don't want spoilers for the end of season 3, leave now. But there's an episode in which Cat Noir gets akumatized, and he gets turned into Cat Blanc by his own father. And he discovers that Hawkmoth is his father, and rather than use his Cataclysm ability, which destroys anything he touches, including living people, he doesn't want to use it on his dad, or on Ladybug, because he's in love with her, and he loves his dad. He uses it on himself, and it creates such a catastrophic effect that it destroys the entire city of Paris and puts it underwater. And there's this, like, whole time travel thing going on, and, like, Ladybug has to confront him, like, and she loves Cat Noir in one way or another, whether she will admit it or not. And he is just this horrifying facsimile of what he once was. And he knows her identity, and that scares the shit out of her. And that causes, like, this split in the timeline, right? Because when they asked the writers of that episode about it, they were like, how long did he spend as Cat Blanc? And he was like, oh, months. He spent just months by himself in a drowned city with nobody to talk to, just as, like, a total supervillain.
Wow.
So she rolls back the clock, and she remembers all of that. You know, the citizens of Paris don't, because they all died.
Yeah.
But Adrian/Cat Noir doesn't remember any of that.
Yeah.
And I just caught up with season 4 last night, and I'm internally screaming about Wishmaker, in which there's a Pickle Rick reference. So, yeah, that's Ladybug. I understand that not everyone is willing to watch through, like, 3 26-episode seasons to get to the meat of a show, but I actually really recommend it. It's really fun. It's, like, a really good kid show once it, like, hits its stride. Yeah. It does, unfortunately, have some issues coming from Paris, but there's actually a really great, diverse cast of characters, and it's really nice to see them get to this point where it's, like, the other kids in the school and, like, who are part of the friend group are getting miraculous and getting to fight alongside them. It's just really nice.
That's so fun.
I love it.
I love that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yay.
That's show and tell.
That's your show and tell?
Thank you all so much. Yeah.
Cool. This is fun. I love show and tell. I feel we haven't done it in a really long time, so I'm very happy we got to do it. Teese loves show and tell. And
hopefully, let's say, like, in 2 weeks, we'll try and get out the other episode of Show and Tell or Book Club that we owe you guys. We'll figure out something. We'll do a bonus episode for you.
Yeah.
Just for you guys.
The Neopets bonus episode's coming out soon, too. So.
Yes, and that will be available to everyone, but I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you the whole spiel about Patreon because you guys already support us, and I know I say this every time, but we can't tell you how much that means to us. It has really made this podcast, I guess, something that we can kind of justify doing, and it feels weird, right? Because it's like we're getting paid to do something we enjoy, but That's a huge help. And I think you all understand that in the grand scope of how the world is right now. But, also, if maybe this is your last show and tell with us, that's absolutely
We
okay
understand,
too. And,
yeah.
we were glad to have you along, and you're of course always welcome back. But even if you're just listening to the show, as it regularly is, and you're not supporting on Patreon, you're part of this, and thank you for that. Thank you, guys.
How would you be listening to this
Have
if you weren't
have a
part of
wonderful
Patreon?
week. Listen.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
They're a part of the show experience.
That's
they
fair.
help make it full and round and beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. You have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Please, if you can, get your vaccine and, wear your mask. Be safe and considerate of the people around you. Bye.
Bye.